Hey folks, it's Rob, and welcome back. This will be part 9 on my series on the Dungeon Master's Rulebook. Just get that out for you. Um, so far, we're in the monsters, and today's going to be a different day in the monsters because we're going to do dragon. Yep, we finally hit the dragon part of the Dungeons and Dragons game, and uh, yeah, we got more in a bit here to start with. We have literally most of 2 pages because we, just left off with Doppelganger, and Dragon is basically all of this. Okay, so that's going to be our focus today. Let's get that out of the way, and let's get started. So, um, how to approach and defeat this? We're gonna, kind of go through the dragons boxes up here and kind of try to move through their information on each item. So we, are talking about each kind of color dragon as we go. As you can see, we don't continue on the next page. So I think after we've talked about the 6 different kinds of dragons presented here, we then move into all the specialist information here. And actually, this last bit of the second page here is about dwarf. And you would think they would have put a bit of art here in this corner. Again, this is early, largely not computerized formatting. So, um, and this book generally lacks art, I would say. It's got some art pieces, it's got some reasonable illustrations like here, but, you know, a bit of art here would have been useful. You know, yeah, there's a dragon on the front cover, but, we a red one, right? Probably. I guess in certain lighting you could interpret that as a gold dragon, but that doesn't make a lot of sense, honestly. Um, Much like the interpretation of whether this is a male or female character. You do you, though. Right, so we have 6 kinds of dragons here, and they get basically and largely sequentially more powerful. Okay, so in this edition, and some people may be used to green dragons being actually quite weak. They're about middle tier in this edition of the game. The white dragon is the lowest tier. A channel I watch, the Dungeon Minister, used white dragons to great effect as a primary plot motivating factor for a long arc of his story. So just because it's the weakest dragon, it's still a dragon, right? So let's get started. AC 3, say hit dice 6, 2 asterisks. That's a good indicator right there. Move on the ground is 90 feet, or 30 in combat. Flying 240 slash 80. It attacks with 2 claws and a bite. Those 2 claws are a D4 each, and the bite is 2 to 16. So that's 2D8, right? 1 to 4 will appear in either in the wild or in a lair. They save as fighter 6. Morale is 8. So, not the most fearless, or possibly you could consider them as intelligent. They're a bit more cunning and will, break away to fight another day. They don't carry treasure on them, but their lair is H. They are neutral in alignment and have an XP value of 725 per dragon. You'll need to defeat the dragon to get that XP. The treasure is always where the value is, literally and figuratively. Uh, so, white dragons are found in cold regions and have cold breath weapons, which are 80 by 30. We see here their breath is in a cone, which is described here. So, that's an 80-foot long cone, which is 30 feet wide on the end, right? So, 10% chance that they're able to talk. So, they're, again, considered the weakest and dumbest of the dragons, but for don't put them in the animal category, right? Chance of being asleep when you encounter them, apparently, 50%. Spells known by level, so they will know 3 first level spells. So, I mean, they just intuitively know 3 first level spells. Going to the black dragon. I used to have a miniature of a nice black dragon. This is way back in the 90s, though. I don't have one currently. In fact, I don't think I have really any miniatures of dragons on my shelves currently. In addition to being a dice goblin, I'm a bit of a terrain and miniature goblin because I just didn't have the money for that stuff when I was a kid. I mean, I did actually buy figurines and have miniatures. I didn't have terrain. I used to have a whole army of skeletons that I had painted up with my friend Jim, and some zombies and stuff like that, and certainly some heroes. Right? Used to bring them to the gaming club for a annual Monty Hall game, where it was basically like World War II versus Fantasy Army. That was a lot of fun. We. uh, Oh, back in the day. Anyhow, black dragons are AC 2. So, I mean, we're starting out with 3. We're moving to 2. That's not very easy for low level characters to hit. And, you know, that's like a 17 or better for the first level, second level, or third level fighter without modifications, right? Um, so, again, while you may summon have a dragon appear on a random roll of an encounter table, maybe make it that they see a dragon in the sky, right? Maybe don't throw the dragon directly at them and without any choice of the encounter. Although I did use a dragon recently as a hidden in human form as a sponsor of a mission. Of course, this is for my wife's game, and she's not going to watch this, honestly. Um, well, she may think I'm charming. She doesn't have the time to go and watch these videos. She's far too busy. She doesn't know what to sponsor for this mission I sent her party on to uh, destroy a red beetle nest. Was sponsored by a dragon who's trying to pacify the wilderness area that your character started out in. Um, this area I created called Birkenford, right? Um, and that this is all part of just like making the area safe for the dragon, because red beetles are actually poisonous to dragons, and um, part of the eventuality is that the tax man is going to be set up in town, and that's going to be the impetus for us to change the venue. Because she's probably not going to be super interested in paying taxes on the loot she brings in. Uh, and the tax man is going to be the dragon. So, because, lawful. I'm jumping ahead, though. Black dragons are AC 2, 7 hit die, 2 asterisks, the same 90-30 and the 240 by 80 movement, and we see that throughout the dragons. So I'm just going to move past that for next one. Again, 2 claws and a bite, and that's going to be standard as well. The claw bites are 2 to 5, 2 to 5, and 2 to 20, so that is D4 plus 1 and 2D10. Again, 1 to 4 will appear. They save as fighter 7. 8 morale, treasure type H. They are chaotic. So, not neutral, chaotic. 1,250 XP for defeating the black dragon. Black dragons are found typically in swamps and marshes. They breathe an acid breath weapon. Their range is 60 feet long by 5 inches. Now, that is because it is in a line. uh, which you see here. So basically, they just shoot a straight line, a gout of acid. It's not a poisonous, corrosive cloud of acid. It's just acid, right? And we'll get to the breath weapons, which is like the extra special primary thing that dragons can do. But you know, uh, so that is in a line. There, 20% chance the black dragon will be able to talk. 40% chance you'll catch it asleep in its lair, and it can cast up to 4 first level spells. And moving on to the green, AC 1. They are 8 hit dice with 2 asterisks, same movements and pattern of attacks, but it is 1 to 6, 1 to 6 on the claws, and 3 to 24, that is 3d8 for the bite. Uh, Getting caught in the bite, probably eating character, you know. Um, but, possible out of the DM will roll low. You don't get saves on base physical damage, so again, 1 to 4 will appear in the wild or in a lair. Save is fighter 8. You think you're getting a pattern here, right? Morale is 9, little fiercer. Treasure type H again, and they are chaotic, and they are a full 500 XP more in the black dragon at 1750. If your first level characters manage to defeat a black or green dragon, then that's a lot of XP to divide up, but there's still the real stuff is in the treasure loot. Green dragons are typically found in jungle or forests, which is a lot of settings, honestly. You'll probably encounter that quite often as the kind of dragon that your party might be involved in wilderness travel in a lot of typical kind of fantasy settings. They breathe the chlorine gas, right? And the gas cloud will be 50 foot by 40 foot. Now, as you can see here, it's a cloud, and that refers to this picture here. You can see it just kind of goes out, right? It belches all over the party, and they all go, "Oh God, onions!" And yeah, I mean, it lives in the marsh in the swamp. It's eating nothing but garlic all day long when it's not eating creatures, right? So, you know, terrible, terrible, terrible breath. 30% chance it can talk. 30% chance it's asleep in the lair. It can cast 3 first level and 3 second level spells. So, in addition to like other things, it could like throw a web spell at the party. Maybe choose the spells in such a way that you don't just total party kill the party. um, Up to you. You're the DM, obviously. You want to have that challenge, make sure the reward is there. Up to you. Blue dragons. I kind of like blue dragons. AC 0. So, like, that's a 19 for the fighter to hit. Um, at, at this stage of the game. Standard moves and attacks. The damage is 2 to 7, 2 to 7, and 3 to 30. So that is a d6 plus 1 and 3d30. Fighter 9 is the save, 1 to 4 appearing. It's always going to be 1 to 4 appearing. Morale is 9. Treasure type H, again, they're neutral, right? Not necessarily immediately hostile, but they are definitely dangerous, right? Not necessarily evil, but, worrisome. But not law-abiding citizens either, right? XP value 2,300. Blue dragons are found typically in deserts and plains. So again, with the plains and deserts, a lot of settings are involved in that, as is the swamp and marsh. The cold region less so, right? I would say mountains and hills, pretty common setting items as well. And the gold dragons are found anywhere, just to compare these while we're on that. But the blue dragons, desert/plain, they fire a lightning bolt, which is 100 feet long by 5 feet wide, we'll call it. So again, this is in a line, as we see here. And that is a 40% chance that this kind of dragon can talk, 20% chance you'll find it asleep in its lair. It can cast 4 and 4 of the first and second level spells. That's a lot of spells. So, maybe it's not eating people at 3 to 30. Maybe it's casting magic missiles and stinking cloud spells and stuff like that. Although, wait, the stinking cloud is that even a spell in this version of the game? When you get old, man, I think that's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and not this version. That spell might be available in later stuff. It's not weird, but web definitely is. Web is definitely available, and that's a primary difficult to deal with for a period of time kind of spell. And you could totally see a dragon knowing it and using it repeatedly. Um, from the blue, we go to red dragons. Now, obviously, again, we have here on the front of the books, red dragon, right? Probably getting ready to eat this guy, right? Red dragons, -1 AC. Now, so that's basically, while that sounds worse, functionally, for this level of play, levels 1 to 3, this is the same. This is still just going to be a 20. You're it goes like to 20 and stays there for like 5 ACs. So -1. It's a 10 hit die. Same moves and attack pattern, but the damage is 1 to 8, 1 to 8, 4 to 32. So that is 4d8. So, each claw does a d8, can just like cut a halfling in half, and then, the bite just snaps up the party's magic user, and usual 1 to 4 appearing. Fighter 10 is the morale. Sorry, and it is the morale actually 10, but it saves as fighter 10. Again, the treasure type is always H. These red dragons are chaotic, and they are 2300 XP, which is the same as the blue dragon. I probably don't need to tell you, but red dragons shoot fire. They are typically found in mountainous and hilly areas. Their flame damage is 90 by 30, and that is a cone. So again, you got that going on. 50% chance a red dragon can talk. 10% chance you'll find it asleep in its lair. It can cast 3 first level, 3 second, and 3 third level spells. Now, again, let's go over what some of those third level spells might be. We have Hold Person. That's real inconvenient. That's not the worst of it, though, because we have a flying creature here who could just drop Fireball on the party and save his breath weapon. Finally, we get to the Gold Dragon, -2, 11 hit die, double asterisk. Same old moves and attack patterns. Its attacks are 2 to 8, 2 to 8, and 6 to 36. That's 2d4 and then 6d6. Classic Fireball, by the way. 6d6. Fighter, 11. Morale, 10. So they can be cowed, Treasure type H, as usual. These are the lawful ones, 2700 XP. They're found anywhere. They have a fire/gas weapon. So, depending on which version, the fire is a 90 by 30 cone, while the gas is the 50 by 40 cloud, right? And that's much like the green dragon's cloud. It is a 100% chance a gold dragon can talk. 5% chance you'll catch it sleeping in its lair, and it can cast 4 of each level type of spell. For 4 first, 4 second, 4 third. Right, that's the stat block. Let's move ahead to the description stuff. Dragons are a very old race of huge winged lizards. They like to live in isolated, out-of-the-way places where few men are found. all the better for your party, honestly. Though the color of their scaly hide makes dragons look different, they all have quite a few things in common. They are all hatched from eggs, are carnivores, have breath weapons, have a great love of treasure, and will do everything possible to save their own lives, including surrender. Breath weapons, treasure, and surrender, subduing a dragon, are all explained in the following description. So, many dragons live hundreds or thousands of years. Because of their long history, they tend to think less of the younger races, such as man. Chaotic dragons might capture men, but will usually kill and eat them immediately. Neutral dragons might either attack or ignore a party completely. Lawful dragons, however, may actually try to help a party if the characters are truly worthy of this great honor. When playing a dragon, a DM should keep in mind that, because of its pride, even the hungriest dragon will pause and listen to flattery if no one is attacking it, and if it understands the language of the speaker. Dragons are extremely powerful monsters and should be used with caution when encountered by low-level party characters, such as those found in the D&D basic rules. It is recommended that until characters reach 4th and higher levels of experience through the D&D expert rules, that only the youngest and smallest dragons be used. Unfortunately, it doesn't really go into, making smaller, younger dragons right here. That's really kind of in the custom monsters, and it's not talking about dragons specifically. But you can downgrade these monsters to be like a whelping or a young version of the thing. So it has some reduced stats, and that would be a much more viable thing for your party to encounter if we're still in this basic level of play. If you intend for the party to defeat it. If you intend for the party to negotiate or to, basically kind of try to talk their way out of a problem, then, maybe set it up in such a way that that might actually happen instead of just going, Dragon! Oh, we can't run! Oh, what do? We die in valor! And yeah, your team, your players. Try to figure out how they're going to react to a situation you present them to. Honestly, you'll get a pretty good idea what's going on with your party and what would happen if you throw a dragon at them and how they would react. Keep that in mind when you set up encounters. Breath weapon damage. All dragons have a special attack with their breath weapon, in addition to their claw and bite attacks. Any dragon can use its breath weapon up to 3 times each day. A dragon's first attack is always with its breath weapon. The number of points of damage any breath weapon does is equal to the number of the dragon's hit points. So, if we worked up a white dragon and it has 6 hit dice, right, we would roll a d8 6 times to determine the hit points of the monster. So that is anywhere from 6 to 48 hit points the dragon will have, right? 6, that's a pretty sickly little dragon. But, and its breath weapon would be reflecting that by just inflicting 6 points of damage without save, right? If you manage to save or have some method of reducing the damage, say like, for example, on an ice dragon, it's cold attack, a cone of cold, right? The cleric has access to a warmth spell. If there's preparation and planning, that might protect you, right? Right, so the number of points of damage any breath weapon does is equal to the number of dragon's hit points. Any damage done to a dragon will reduce the damage it can do with its breath weapon. So even if it started out with 48 hit points, if you brought it down to 15 hit points and it goes to use its last breath attack, it's only going to do the 15. After the first breath attack, a dragon might choose to attack with claws and bite. To determine this randomly, and again, if you're not going to control the dragon in the way you normally would, if you want to do this randomly, 1 to 3, the dragon will use its claws and bite attacks. 4 to 6, the dragon will breathe again. And obviously, I wouldn't use this randomization if it's out of breath attacks. and you may want to incorporate into that probability the use of magic spells, which, if this is a planned encounter, you may want to work out what the spells are, right? Um, shape of breath. A dragon's breath weapon appears as one of three different shapes: cone-shaped, straight line, or a cloud of gas. A cone-shaped breath begins at the dragon's mouth, where it is 2 foot wide, and spreads out until it is 30 feet wide at its furthest end. For example, the area of effect of a white dragon's breath is a cone 80 feet long and 30 feet wide at its far end. A line-shaped breath starts in the dragon's mouth and stretches out towards its victim in a straight line, even downward. Even at its source, the cone-shaped breath is 5 foot wide. A cloud-shaped breath weapon billows forth from the dragon's mouth to form a 50-foot by 40-foot cloud, 20 feet tall, all around the dragon's targets directly in front of it. Saving throws. Each victim within a dragon's breath must make a saving throw. This is always the saving throw versus breath, even if the breath is similar to another type of attack. If successful, the victim only takes half damage from the breath. Dragons are never affected by normal or smaller versions of their breath weapons and automatically make their saving throws against any attack form which is the same as their breath weapon. For example, a red dragon will take no damage and usually ignores burning oil, and will always take only half damage from fire-type magic spells such as Fireball, right? Which the third level mage ain't even going to have. But, magic missile, always good, gotta say. Talking. Dragons are intelligent, and some dragons can speak the dragon and common tongues. The percentage listed under chance of talking is the chance that a dragon will be able to talk. Talking dragons are also able to use magic user spells. The number of spells and their levels are given in the chart. For example, 3 means that dragon can cast 3 first-level spells and 3 second-level spells, but no third-level spells. Dragon spells are usually selected randomly. So, and just to be sure, these are magic user spells we're talking about, not cleric spells. Okay? But, you want to vary the rules because for your setting and be like, you know what, actually, they have some clerical spells. I'm cool with it, right? You do you, but remember, try to stay consistent in the setting. Sleeping dragons. Percentage chance given under a chance of being asleep applies whenever a party encounters a dragon on the ground. Flying dragons are never asleep, obviously. Any result greater than the percentage means that the dragon is not asleep, though it may be pretending to be. If a dragon is asleep, it may be attacked for 1 round with a bonus of +2 to hit on all your hit rolls, during which it will awaken. Combat is handled normally for the second and further rounds. So, you get that initial attack in on a sleeping white dragon where it's AC 5. Maybe you can overwhelm it. It's only 6 hit dice. It could happen. If you don't, it could be a bad day. Subduing dragons. Now this is interesting because I've not really run into this very much, even though I've always been aware of it. I've never really encountered a party who's been willing to do this, but it's entirely possible. Subduing dragons. Whenever characters encounter a dragon, they may choose to try to subdue it rather than kill it. To subdue a dragon, all attacks must be with the flat of the sword. That is, no missile weapons and spells may not be used to subdue. Attacks and damage are determined normally, but the subduing damage is not real damage. The dragon will fight normally until it reaches 0 or less hit points, at which time it will surrender. The subduing damage does not reduce the damage done by the dragon's breath weapon. So, you gotta withstand 3 full strength breath attacks, probably, in the course of subduing the dragon. And you can't use ranged weapons, you have to close up to melee, and you can't use offensive spells. You could conceivably use some defensive spells or some healing, but You can't use like magic missile. You can't use that lightning bolt that Melf the Miraculous has. You know, um, a dragon may be subdued because it realizes that its attackers could have killed it if they had been striking to kill. It therefore surrenders, admitting that the opponents have won the battle but saving its own life. A subdued dragon will attempt to escape or turn on its captor if given a reasonable chance to do so through the party's actions. For example, a dragon left unguarded at night or who is ordered to guard a position alone would consider these reasonable chances. A subdued dragon must be sold. The price is up to the DM, but it should never exceed 1,000 gold pieces per hit point. The dragon may be forced to serve the characters who subdued it. If a subdued dragon is ever ordered to perform a task which is apparently suicidal, the dragon will attempt to escape and may try to kill its captors in the process. Thinking about it, I used to read Dragon magazine, and in there was Elmore's cartoon strip, which the name is escaping me at the moment, but no, Snarf Quest. And Snarf, at one point, subdues a dragon, but it thinks it's like a parakeet, and sells it. I think he brings it back because he's got a like he's trying to be king. It's not that's not that much is not really a spoiler. He's the dragon is a spoiler. Sorry, folks. Um, Anyhow, he kind of brings a dragon back, so it's kind of vaguely like this. Um, Age. The statistics given are for an average-sized dragon of its type. Younger dragons are smaller and have. Oh well, here I missed this. So this is how we can adjust dragons. Younger dragons are smaller and have acquired less treasure. Older dragons are larger and have acquired more. Dragons generally range in size from 3 hit dice smaller to 3 hit dice larger than average. For example, red dragons could be found having 7 to 13 hit dice depending on their age. Doesn't sound like we modify anything other than the hit dice and the treasure amount, and it's not actually saying, well, I guess it's in the next paragraph. Uh, Treasure. Younger dragons may have collected as little as 1/4 to 1/2 the normal listed treasure. Older dragons may have as much as double the listed amount. Dragon treasure is only found in the dragon's lair. These lairs are rarely left unguarded and are well hidden to prevent easy discovery. So, you defeat a dragon that was flying overhead and you managed to like get its attention and it turned into a fight and because I don't know, you managed to defeat that dragon. Unfortunately, locating its lair is going to be a whole thing. If you want it to be. Again, you're the DM. Gold dragons. Gold dragons always talk and use spells. They can also change their shape and often appear in the form of a human or animal. Gold dragons may breathe either fire like a red dragon or chlorine gas like a green dragon, though they still have a total of 3 breath weapon attacks per day, not 6. The type of breath used should be chosen by the DM to fit the situation. So, it's explicitly saying it's still only 3 breath attacks, but you can choose what you want. In a way, think of it as the gas is flammable. Uh, so that's dragons. Um, let's finish the page with dwarf unceremoniously. Uh, this is the monster version of the dwarf. So its armor class is 4, has 1 hit die. Its move is 60 foot /20. It attacks by weapon, 1 weapon attack by weapon. Number appearing will be 1 to 6 in the wild, 5 to 40 in some kind of dwarven lair. Save as Dwarf 1, unsurprisingly. Morale is 8 or 10, see below. Treasure type, Q plus S, and that's on the dwarf. In their, Dwarven Hall, G. Alignment type, lawful or neutral. XP value, 10. Evil dwarves are generally called Dwergar, by the way. And I don't think they're in this book, but, um, nothing's stopping you from having evil dwarves. Dwarves can also appear as NPCs, usually in clan groups or as a war or mining expedition. For every 20 dwarves, there will be one leader, level 3 to 8, who may have magical items. To check for possible magical items, multiply the leader's level by 5. The result is the percentage chance for that leader to own a magic item from any one particular subtable. Roll separately for each type subtable of magic treasure. Check all the subtables except for the scroll and except for the scroll subtable and the rod staff subtable. As long as their leader is still alive and fighting with them, dwarven morale is 10 rather than 8. Dwarves hate goblins and will usually attack them on sight. Yeah, pretty typical. Just to quickly cover a little bit more, because I know we've got enough time on the video, but we've talked a lot about certain treasure types again, and I just want to kind of get a little into that. H, right? That's your typical dragon horde lair horde, right? H is a 25% chance of 3 to 24,000 copper pieces, 50% chance of 1 to 100,000 silver pieces, 50% chance of 10 to 40,000 pieces of electrum, 50% chance of 10 to 60,000 pieces of gold. H, obviously, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. 25% chance of 5 to 20,000 pieces of platinum, 50% chance of 1 to 100 gems, 50% chance of 10 to 40 pieces of jewelry, and a 15% chance of any 4 magic items plus a potion and a scroll. That's a lot of treasure, which you might expect for a dragon horde, right? And even the reduced amounts of treasure for young dragons is still a lot of treasure, potentially. Admittedly, you could roll poorly. There's no guaranteed treasure in the table, right? But with 50% chances a couple times and 25% chances, it's very likely you'll actually have treasure. Wow, though. Now, the dwarf will have Q and S. Now, those are over here on the individual table. In the layer, they have G, right? G is right above H. In that G has no, it's very different though, because it has no copper, no silver, no electrum, 50% chance of 10 to 40,000 gold pieces, right? And a 50% chance of 1 to 6,000 platinum, 25% chance of 3 to 18 gems, 25% chance of 1 to 10 pieces of jewelry, and a 35% chance of any 4 magic items plus a scroll. And that's in addition to that dwarven leader we were talking about, where we need to roll on all the treasure tables. But Q and S. Q, no copper, and S has no copper. Q has 3 to 18 pieces of silver per individual, so that's just guaranteed money there. S, no silver. Let's see, no pieces of electron under either category. Let's see here. That's 4th from the bottom. 2 to 8 pieces of gold, and under the S. No chances of platinum, no chances of gems, no chance of jewelry, no chance of magic items. So each dwarf will definitely have some money on them, and some gold, some silver, possibly some electrum. No electrum. That's right. They'll have some gold and silver pieces each, right? So that pocket change is worthwhile, but the dwarven hall is full of gold. But they're lawful or neutral, so maybe don't kill them all. Anyhow, that's going to be it for today. Next time, we'll carry on with the monster reading, where we're going to move into the magical world of E with Elf. And thank you ever so much for being here and for listening to me talk and ramble and wander off the subject and misremember things and get them recover them from the text. I appreciate you spending the time with me and uh, for this unedited experience where I just, ramble into a microphone. But uh, thank you all for being here. Your comments and likes are golden to me, and I appreciate them. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.